All right, wonderful. This is fun. This is good. You have come so far. I love the email that you sent me earlier on.
It was a cool thing to hear. It was kind of, it's like getting something bounced back to you that you had no idea existed out there. So no, it was good because he's struggling. I mean, he's got a very, very difficult situation.
Yeah.
I mean, he's making the best of it. He's handling it way better than I'm sure that I ever would.
Yep.
But it's nice to know that amidst all that he's actually heard something you've said and that you've helped him.
Yeah. So tell me the situation. And so if you're watching this later, what happened?
I mean, his girlfriend has MS. I mean,
Yeah.
and she's going down fast. I mean, she's 40, early 40s, very vibrant, beautiful young woman before, and I think she gave up a few years ago, but he has her at home. A lot of people would have her in a home. She has a nurse there. He goes there in the morning. Or he leaves in the morning, he gets her ready, somebody takes care of her. He goes back at noon, helps her do her stuff, goes back right after work, and that's his life.
Yeah.
Her voice is fading. They can't even converse anymore. She's really wearing down. I mean, and it's all of her friends. I mean, everybody's that they used to hang out with. Nobody, not even phone calls, nothing. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you watch him. He works and stuff, and it's he's taken a lot on himself. Like I said, I don't know that a lot of people, almost anybody else I would know, would have had her in a home or in a respite or something too. And he's toughing it out. So. It's important to be there. It's important to remain a friend. And it's important not to get really pissed at all those people that were his friends or that will probably be his friends again after she passes, but are just because things are tough now are absolutely gone. Yeah. So it's not a nice thing to be part of, but it's a good thing to be part of for him. Yeah. So it's not all black, but I mean, he has, so a lot of times when you think, it's tough. You go back and hope, man, look what he deals with.
Oh, I hear you. So what did you say that was so impactful?
Well, when I was talking to him, because we talk a lot of times about so and so doesn't call him, this guy doesn't call him, and so and he's been struggling with that too. And I finally said that one of the things I'm trying to reconcile is that every time I'm mad at somebody for every minute that I'm doing that, I'm really wasting a minute of my life, and they're not worth it. Yeah. I mean, it doesn't matter what it is. And he said that he's been using that a lot because he's on his own. So he's a very social person. It was, and and he said he's been doing that. He said that's been helping him. And I also talked to him about, said, you got to see somebody professionally. It's nice to talk to friends and stuff like that, but what you're dealing with is a lot. He's actually considering doing that as well. Yeah. Good. But just how he talked, and he just phoned and made a point of saying how much it helped him. He says to think that when he's getting choked, that really he doesn't. It's it's just wasting his time because you're just not worth it. So we have lots of talks. We talk all the time. I mean, it's just nice to hear that something you bounced off somebody or something that you used for yourself, impacted his life.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, no, it was. It just felt really good. Yeah. So a lot of times you just, guys, you sit around and shoot the shit, and you're talking all the time. How much is, really, even scratching the surface. And we don't go too deep, but I mean it's, for what you can. So no, it came out of the blue. It just surprised me too. Yeah.
That he really just said, I'm applying this thing that you've been talking about.
Yeah, and also the other thing is it surprised me that he actually, not that he listened, but that. I'm not in a position that I give a lot of people advice, or I'm not counsel for a number of people. I'm an individual. So I haven't. Yeah. It's just not my role in
but life. You want it to be.
I guess maybe with certain people in certain situations. More the example of it than anything else. Okay. When people come in with their problems. Yeah. I know it's not something I do professionally, and I think that if you became that person, you'd become mired in sorrow. Sure. It's okay to be a good listener, but at some point you've got to. And we've had that talk too, saying, look, you can't keep beating on yourself. You've got to turn things, and when it gets really bad, I says, it's fine to phone, but if it's getting that bad, maybe you should be doing something else for yourself.
Yeah.
So, but it just the fact that you're taken seriously on that, or that I was taken seriously, and
yes,
and that it's so maybe my, I'll say my perception is my, but maybe my, I guess what I'm emulating now, or what I'm.
Yep.
What the energy I'm giving off is a little more positive, and it's a lot more.
Yep.
So so you're taken seriously. I guess if you take yourself seriously too, then.
Yep. And it sounds to me like you're actually taking yourself more seriously in the aspect that you have the confidence to share those things and know that it's coming from an authentic place, that you're really trying these things yourself, and that you mean them and that you care.
Yeah, platitudes, in his situation, platitudes do nothing for him. I know how you feel. There's no way I know how he feels. There's no way I know what he's going through.
Yeah.
It is that difficult a situation.
Yeah.
I've had a rough situation with my parents. A lot of people go through that. That is part of the cycle of life, to go through that with a young person, and to, she hasn't walked for, 5 years?
Mm-hmm. Mm.
So, from being the couple out and about to being condo bound. It's a big deal.
Yeah, I hear you.
So, anyways.
Good job.
Yeah, no, so I thought, let's go.
Way to go. Excellent.
It's just, little bits and pieces that.
Yep. And thanks for sharing that with me too on email.
Yeah,
appreciate that. Stuff like that. Those are wins that actually make the difference, right?
Well, they are, because there's all sorts of stuff that goes on, but there isn't going to be a big thing that happens in your life that's always going to say, okay, now I've made it, or now I'm abundant.
Yeah.
It's all going to be about things like that.
Yep. It's cool because what I see for you also in that is that sometimes you don't get check marks along the way. Checkpoints, I should say, more, not check marks, because you think about the teacher thing. But sometimes, on your pathway to wherever you're going, there's no checkpoint. It's just like, okay, well, I am on my way to actually creating this abundance mindset that you're talking about. But here's the evidence along the way.
GPS uses waypoints.
Yeah, waypoints. There's a good one too.
If you're sailing, so you got a waypoint, you go here, and that's how you know that that you're staying on the path, or that you're on something.
Excellent.
And it's that's one of them. So when when I hear one of those, then I start to hear some other things, or hear some things in my voice, and start. Mm-hmm. Doesn't mean it still doesn't slide back, and that the negative voice takes over sometimes, but at least it gives you a springboard to get back to it.
Cool. Excellent. So. Very cool. All right, so I'm going to set this up, and we're going to jump right into this tool. Today, our tool that we're going to work through is called the limiting belief versus the empowering belief tool. Okay? And I created this out of the abundance mindset tool that we did earlier. Mm-hmm. And I think that it's so beneficial, because when you uncover some of the limiting beliefs that are actually holding you back, it's actually very, very clarifying, because limiting beliefs will always limit you. There's always limiters that people put themselves on. There's always limiters that other people put you in. And when you can actually start to identify, okay, what you're personally limiting yourself with and what other people are limiting you with, you actually start to say, okay, well, do I believe this? Is it true? Or is there something I can look at that actually, can curve that? Because if I'm believing that thought, or if it's the underlying belief that controls this other thing, then maybe I could actually change that and replace that with an empowering belief, and see where that goes. And I'm a big believer in possibility thinking, and you know that.
Yeah.
That's one of the keys of the abundance mindset. And really, this is actually taking a look more deeply in that more than any other key, is the possibility thinking. And it's taking a look also of what your major intention is. So with any major intention, there's going to be reasons why you actually haven't achieved it, or else why you're not actually steadfast on the path, why you haven't taken your life back to actually live your life, live your dreams, or potentially why you're not even where you want to be in life. Okay? But looking at the thing from the very, very beginning, we're going to go back to the last thing that we actually talked about, which was your refusal letter. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to read that out loud here to you.
You can read it now, can you?
Yeah, I can read it now because I can read your typing. Okay, so this is your letter, right? Mick Otacon says that I refuse to let my past limit my future of abundance. I refuse to let my past actions or the past actions of others detract from my future abundance. I refuse to let procrastination or an inconsistent level of effort limit my future. I refuse to let this time wasted become moments of lost opportunity or joy. I refuse to perform at a level below my higher standards. I choose to hold myself to a higher standard. I refuse to let the wishes or actions of others influence my standards or the actions those standards demand. I have established higher standards for being, caring, and acting. These standards are physical, emotional, spiritual, and financial. I refuse to allow my doubting voice dictate my feelings, outlook, and behavior. I will follow a new hierarchy: visionary, realist, and then doubter. There you go. It's amazing.
It's a little shorter than the other, but...
You know what? That's you. You wrote it. Now hearing it from me, from a third party, how does that sound to you?
I mean, it makes sense. It's not it's not rambling. It's clear. It's concise, and it covers what I think are the at this point the most important things that I have to just demand of myself and refuse to fall into.
Yep.
And the the higher standard is very important, and that's the one that that does slip. It's easy to put it off.
What do you expect of yourself is the question that I have for you. And this is the standard that you're expecting yourself of. I told you all along in your coaching that my goal is to actually raise your expectations that you have of yourself. I'm raising my own expectations, and I have a coach myself who's also raising my bar for me and saying, hey, listen, you can do this one extra thing. Go for it. So what level of expectation do you feel that you have now that you've written this? Now that you put this on paper, do you think that your expectation level has risen?
Oh, it's risen.
Yeah.
It still has to go higher.
Yeah.
But it's definitely risen.
Yeah. Okay. Excellent.
I had no expectations before. I had what the word even is. It wasn't expectation. It was that wasn't disgust, but I had ill feelings just towards where I was. I didn't have any expectations. Mm-hmm. I had desires, I had dreams, but they weren't expectations or wishes. Maybe say that it was powerful enough to be called dreams, but
yeah. So, were you just wishful thinking?
Yeah.
Why?
It's easy. Makes you feel good.
How does that make you
Push
feel?
the other stuff out of your mind.
How does that make you feel to actually acknowledge that?
Well, good to acknowledge it. I mean, it's part of picking away at it and figuring it out. I still do it. If I'm not feeling well, if I'm having trouble sleeping, wishful thinking is great.
Yep.
Wishful thinking when you should be working, or wishful thinking when you're not taking action, or when you're doing something that doesn't meet the standard that you're substituting it while you're involved in a behavior that's contrary to what your standards are. Then it's not helpful.
Right.
An escape and an excuse at that point.
Yep. What have you been surrendering in your life Or what compromise have you been making that causes you to just wishful think instead of really, really pursue your actual goals?
Maybe the thing I think of offhand is really deep down the belief that I can accomplish those things, or I can have those things, or be that person.
Yeah.
Once you step into it and start doing whatever it is and you're gaining momentum, you don't think about what you're doing, you continually do it. Think about what you have to do and decide you can't do it, or decide it's so difficult that you'll maybe try it tomorrow when you feel better. It's the opposite.
Right. Yep.
So.
No, that's excellent. It's good awareness. What do you think about that word compromise?
Well, that's what it is. I mean, the compromise is a very accurate term. I mean, you're not... I mean, there's selling short. There's a whole bunch of... But really what you're doing is you're compromising. You're settling for... You want standard A, but you're compromising. You're settling for standard B, or for this level of happiness. You're compromising, being your... I think, another description would be selling yourself short, but really it's what it is, to compromise.
Yep. Yep.
You've chosen, and it is a choice, you've chosen this instead of this. One goes with the effort, the other one goes, it's your compromise.
Yep. I'm going to talk to you about compromise now. Right now there's a lot of documentaries that are going on with the Titanic because it's the 100th year anniversary. You've probably seen some of them or heard some of them. There's my rough estimate there. If you can see that on Mr. Camera. Okay, cool. So there's the quick drawing of the Titanic, and here's the water level. What I loved about the documentaries, have you been watching any of them?
No.
No? Okay.
So I got my TV's unhooked. So
okay, very good.
Catch hockey games.
I actually don't watch too much TV, but it was on the other day, and James Cameron was doing it, who did the Titanic movie,
Yep.
and he was actually doing like an exploration as to like if this was really how it went down and stuff. I found it really fascinating, because what I found is that the Titanic itself was built really well at the time. In fact, there's like bulkheads inside the Titanic that actually essentially compartmentalize the different areas. So what happened was, in their explanation, is that when the iceberg hit, it just slashed multiple sections over here. All right? And the water over here did contain, for instance, in this area, and it just like filled this, and these weren't filled. Like these didn't get slashed, these compartments at the end, right? But what happened was as the water actually went, it actually overflowed into one, and went and overflowed into the next, and overflowed into the next, until finally, even the compartments that weren't slashed, they actually couldn't bear the weight of the water, and the big ship sunk. And I actually found that really good analogy for integrity, in the sense of integrity of the ship. Integrity of yourself is the analogy too. So in the sense of this is that when one area of your life is compromised, for instance, this area of the ship was compromised, where water actually came into it, it actually overflowed into other areas. In the same way in life, when you compromise in one way, you sometimes think that it's compartmentalized with the other areas.
You have to be very, very skilled at compartmentalizing, not to have
Yeah. But wouldn't it be accurate to say that after a while the water will overflow into the next areas?
And I think without speaking of statistics, the majority of people are almost, without question, that's the way it would go. Yeah. There are some people that have the ability to
pretty hard, yeah.
They be very cold, and they can say compartmentalize something and make all the compromise, and it doesn't affect the rest of the stuff.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of people around like that. There are some, but I'm definitely not one of them. But I'd say yes.
Yeah.
For the vast majority of mankind.
Yeah. And without being too darn obvious, what happens when all the other areas are compromised and the water overflows?
You sink.
You sink. Yeah. So, integrity is like a big, big, big word. So you were talking about compromising it, and really, when we take a look at the integrity word, and with compromise now, when it compares to actually your actual true identity and what you say and all of that stuff, it's so important when you take a look at that now in respect to what you're actually telling yourself. I'm holding myself to this higher expectation, to this higher standard. You're saying, verbally you're saying that, all right? But before you're saying, okay, well, I'm going to do this, but you're confessing that you're really actually wishing for it. So there's a difference there between what you're saying and what's actually happening. So there's not integrity there with yourself. So that imbalance is what's spilling over as well, causing you to feel like, okay, well, my ship is sinking because of what I'm telling myself, and then the accuracy of what's really happening.
Well, that one act, and with whatever aspect of your life that it is, it's contrary to that thing that you've said. So that gap is just that. It's the hole in your hole. You're leaking.
Yeah.
And it does spread. I've always used the analogy that you can't pick and choose when you're going to lie and be an honest person. You either lie or you don't.
Yeah.
And with integrity, it's a little more, right? But with integrity, you either use it, have it, or you don't. Mm-hmm. You don't sometimes have integrity.
Yep.
And that is the hardest thing of living up to that word is that it's all the time, not just when it suits you, not when you think you're going to be noticed, and it doesn't disappear when you don't think anybody's watching. Yeah, I've seen some very good examples of it the last few weeks, just around the office, just stuff that I was very impressed by.
Yeah.
Just little things, but just the fact that that's how these people act, and or this person act. That's a very good thing.
Excellent. Cool.
That's and it gives you something to say. Well, you know what? If I'm going to stand beside somebody like that, I better at least have that stand.
Excellent. Live up to that measuring stick.
Yeah.
Good. Good for you.
So integrity isn't. Just look at a tire. See if the tire either has integrity or doesn't. If it does, it holds air. If it doesn't, it's flat.
Mm-hmm. It just needs a little pinhole for it to not have integrity.
Exactly.
Right?
So it can be torn. It can be a pinhole. It can be whatever it is.
Yeah.
And it's very, very hard to live up to that.
Yep. Excellent. Very cool.
It's a good word.
Let's take that, the knowledge of integrity now, and let's take a look at it from the perspective of what we're going to do next, which is, this is all a setup. Mm-hmm. I'm setting you up, mate. So, Mick, what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at part of what you told me here. We're going to set an intention verbally, and then we're going to take a look at the empowering beliefs and limiting beliefs aspect of things. Okay? So what you told me, you can actually choose which element that you want to actually talk about here. I'm going to reread some of these things. Tell me which aspect of what you actually told me in your refusal letter you want to actually use.
Procrastination and constant effort.
Procrastination and constant effort?
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. So what you told me over here, Okay. I refuse to let procrastination and constant effort limit...
Inconsistent, I think it is.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, you're right. Inconsistent level of effort limit my future. I refuse to let this time wasted become moments of lost opportunity. Excellent. Okay. I'm using that as your example. I'm going to bring it back to that one exactly. All right? We're not even going to change the wording. You did it beautifully. So I refuse to let procrastination and an inconsistent level of effort limit my future. I refuse to let this time wasted become moments of lost opportunity or joy. Okay. To set up this tool, I'm going to tell you a couple key points. When we're actually talking about this, we want to look at the possibilities. Once again, possibility thinking. When you fill in the new empowering beliefs. So we're going to stay away from being cynical with this project. That's just going to fuel your limiting beliefs. Okay? But while we actually do this, I'm going to ask you some questions. And I'm going to decipher from my point of view whether or not it's a limiting belief or it's a strategy. Okay? So tell me why it is, first of all, that you actually have had a difficulty with procrastination, just procrastination.
Why I've had a difficulty with it?
Yeah.
Because I find it very easy to do.
Mm-hmm. Why?
Because I've always had the ability to come back, do things at the last minute to get things done.
Okay.
I'm liked.
You're liked?
I use it to cut me slack on deadlines.
Use it to cut you slack, eh? What do you think is an aspect of procrastination that...
Sometimes I get afraid to do things. I hate afraid to be wrong. So I want to have the right answer instead of putting up some answers or some possibilities. And
Right.
And then once it's late, I'm afraid. I get afraid to pick it up, or I find it easier to pick up other things and do a lot of things instead of that one difficult thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm able to substitute other works. I'm still working.
Okay. Tell me about another aspect of procrastination other than work that you get caught up in.
Oh, then working out.
Okay. Why?
Long day, lots of excuses, tired, it's easy to put it off. Get to a level of fitness or health that's adequate.
Okay, that's what you do. Why do you do that?
I don't know. I guess because I'm satisfied at that point. I've lost my vision, lost sight of my real goal, lost sight of the standard that I'm trying to set.
Mm-hmm. Tell me with the working out thing, where the point is where you start justifying.
Well, just to me, when body weight gets to a certain point, or we've been, fairly off the reef, or it's gone well. With me, a lot of times it gets to be injury, so it's easy to.
So you can blame the injury?
Not so much blame the injury, but instead of working around it.
Could settle into the injury.
Well,
Tell me about friends, relationships, any kind of other personal areas that you're really letting procrastination beat you up or take you down.
I don't have a problem speaking my mind, so I don't know about procrastinating and dealing with people so much. I guess a lot of times if I don't feel like it, I avoid social situations just because.
Okay.
Make the choice that's more comfortable here than there.
Okay. What about inconsistency and level of effort?
Well, I would work really hard for 4 days, do nothing for the other 3, or do,
Why do you go blah?
Well, what brings me back to it, I don't know why I go that way, probably because it's for the amount of work that I've done, but the thing that brings me back or brings me out of it is that I realize that, what standard I've set for myself, and that this isn't it.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Why it goes blah? Well, probably because it's been too much.
Is it accurate, the blah feeling? Or am I wrong?
If it's
okay
actually
if I
blah,
am.
I don't blah is the word. I mean, some days I just don't want to do it. So, it's like I've put in a bunch of long days. Thursday afternoon I chill, Friday afternoon I chill. Still at the office, but not going at the same pace. I guess you justify. It's been. Instead of looking at it in that small section or piece of time, if you're looking at it over the big picture and would say, where does this fit into, all of it?
Mm-hmm.
The inconsistent or, backing off in the effort does cost you.
Mm-hmm.
Looking at it over a week, okay, well, it's great work over a week, but you're not living for a week, so.
Right.
So I'm trying to come up with monthly plans to keep it going over the whole month as opposed to week on, week and a half on, half a week off, that type of thing.
Okay. Tell me about peak performance. When you think about peak performance in relationship to our current conversation of how you've been having inconsistent effort.
Well, what would I describe peak performance as?
Yeah, and compare it to limiting what you feel is inconsistent effort.
I think peak performance is getting in there first, earlier, and getting a lot accomplished. Just getting a good start on the day and not putting it aside, I'll get to it later, and then end up, sort of staying late, spending more hours doing or accomplishing what should be done in less. And peak performance, you get through it quicker, more thoroughly, and enjoy it more. I think the peak performance for me means just a better start to each day. How the day starts, the day goes. So
How does that feel, the term peak performance?
I don't know what it means. So.
That's all right.
I think of it, in a lot of times. Peak performance. when you so I was thinking of, you know, that like peak performance in, it's just sort of in a general term last week. It was just something that was in a, how does it feel if, you know, when you get in, you have a good day, it feels great.
Yeah.
I don't look back and say I performed to my peak, but
yeah.
performing at a high level or at a very efficient level, it always feels good.
Yeah. Nice.
And when you perform at that level, then you actually believe that there are possibilities. For me, anyways, the more I accomplish, the more I believe I can accomplish.
Nice. Excellent. Okay. You're wasting time. Why?
Indecision. Daydreaming. Why am I wasting time? Just taking a mental break, I guess. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. These are your words. You told me that you're wasting time, so.
Yeah.
It's got to be for a reason. Taking a mental break, sure.
Yeah, and again, you know, just being afraid of tackling some of the tougher projects.
Okay. Why are you scared of tackling the tougher projects?
I think a lot of times deep down inside I don't believe I can do it.
Mm.
Self-belief or self-confidence. You know, take that to the training. I just don't have the confidence to do it yet.
Deep down, you don't have the confidence to do it. I hear you. So that's what you're feeling. All right, tell me more about the big projects. Why the heck are you stalling? You could do this. You've done your job for long enough. Why can't you do it?
Well, there's no reason I can do it.
Really? Okay.
I just find a way to talk myself out of it, or talk my way into doing something easier first.
So do you actually go through a position in your work where a big project comes out and you actually take yourself out of that project and talk yourself out of it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. What if the guy that normally could do that big project is sick? Then what?
Well, the guy that can normally do it is me, so if somebody else finds it, somebody else gets it, somebody else gets the opportunity.
Okay.
Maybe somebody else gets to continue getting the opportunity.
Okay.
There's a cost to it.
Tell me about life. Forget about work for a moment. Some of these things are related just to work. Tell me about your life. Tell me where you're wasting your time and why you're wasting your time with those things.
Spending as much time by myself as I do.
Yep.
I wouldn't say it's wasting my time, but that's... just kind of cruising, not... let's say living, but not taking the steps towards the things that I want. Sometimes just standing still, waiting for them to arrive.
So there's a lot of hesitation, it sounds like.
Very much so.
We're in the middle of the hockey season. What happens when a player's on a breakaway? Clear breakaway. Nobody else back checking. Nobody else. He's in total clear. What happens if he hesitates too much before he gets to the goalie?
It's caught. It's caught, gets passed. Misses the opportunity.
Does he?
Sometimes. Depends how long he hesitates.
So maybe you could get away with having a brief hesitation, still get the shot off? Doesn't get a chance for a goal unless he gets the shot off.
Yeah.
Doesn't get a chance for a goal if he hesitates so much that the puck follows him into the corner. Missed the breakaway, which is probably, arguably, the highest percentage of a chance to get a goal in hockey.
Yeah.
It's just you and the goalie.
Yeah. The opportunity may be gone. Certainly diminished.
Okay. Take that example now and look at how hesitation has hurt your opportunity. Tell me more about that.
I mean, it does continually. You know, weeks go by where things remain the same. Doesn't have to be a breakaway, but if you're hesitating, you're not competing. Maybe I'm afraid of competing sometimes.
See where this exercise is leading you?
Oh yeah. Been through these before.
Alright. Okay. What's left? You're hesitating. You have inconsistent levels of effort, and you're wasting time. What's left?
Staying where you are. I mean, that's all that's left. Or marginally improving, or sliding back. If everybody around you picks it up.
Yeah.
That's all that's left.
Staying where you are is all that's left. Tell me about this quote and tell me what comes up for you. All that's left by those who hustle. Wait. All that's left for those who wait is what's left by those who hustle. All that's left by those who wait is what's left by those who hustle. Tell me about that. I'm sorry I don't know the author of that quote. But what comes up for you?
Well, I mean, you're reaching the stages that have been passed by everybody else. So that's what's left. Maybe not so much the things that are discarded, but the things that are second, third, fourth choices to what somebody really wanted.
Right. Let's talk about hockey again then. So what if in hockey it came to be draft time and every single year you came to the draft and all you got was 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th picks, round picks. You never got a 1st, 2nd, or 3rd round pick. You only got 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th round picks. Now, sure, you could have a deep scouting staff, but in the long haul, if that was your team, do you feel that you would have a difficulty building the youth up in the team to actually build the team up?
See, that's a tough analogy because I have brothers in the business and our family's been around that. So
cool.
A lot of time, the 6th pick.
Thomas Cavalier. There you go. I mean, Pavel Datsyuk. So true.
I mean, there's tons of them.
Yep, there's tons of them. But over the course of say 10 years.
Well, I mean, just in general, if you're waiting till everybody else has the first 3 goes at choices at whatever it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What if it was kind of
continually having those year after year after year?
Right.
You would have less inspiring choices and ultimately a less inspiring life for existence.
Mm-hmm. It's a good analogy, actually, that you bring up there. Less inspiring.
Because there is somebody behind you that goes, God, if I can have that, then it might just inspire them beyond belief.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're looking at those 3 and hesitating and having them pass you by, the next 3 have got to be less inspiring than what the first 3 were.
Right. Mm-hmm. There you go. Excellent. Cool. This is great. You're doing so well. I'm going to let you take a tiny little breather. Stretch a little bit if you want. There we go.
Show this coach.
Here we go. Beautiful. All right. Now let's take a look at some empowering beliefs. All right?
Okay.
I'm going to start this process, and your homework is going to be to finish it. And this is the way that you look at getting empowering beliefs. And the reason why you're... What's that?
Typing or writing?
Oh, if you could type it, that'd be great.
Okay.
What I'm going to do for you is I'm actually going to type up this.
And you're going to send that to me, and then I can
I'm
type
going to send it to you, and then you can type on the
Then
other
you got a
side.
shot at getting it back.
There you go. You betcha. So, the reason why I'm going to start this process is that this is, once again, one of the things that I keep on bringing back to you. This is something you can actually come back to, a tool like this, with any kind of intentional thing that you want to look at. You've talked about a couple of different intentions over here. You're refusing to let certain things block you. You're refusing to let them because you have more empowering things to actually choose. Essentially, refusing is actually refusing to let the limiting beliefs actually block you. Okay?
Yes.
Yeah. So there you go.
And that was in coming up with that was the mindset, or I was thinking in those terms.
Excellent. Very cool. Very cool. Now what you're going to do is we're going to actually take a look at these. There are some things in over here in this list that you actually gave me, and I'm going to identify what those ones are and help you out with that. That are simply, it would be a matter of you actually taking an action of some sort to actually overcome them. And what I mean by that is that if there's a strategy that you could take or an action that you could take today that would help you actually overcome this thing, then it really isn't a limiting belief. It really is more something that you just have to just get down dirty, just do something. However,
there's a mixture of that in there, yes.
There is, yeah. However, there are lots of limiting beliefs in here. I'll show you an example. What you started to talk about at the very beginning was you get afraid of doing things that are wrong. Okay, well, I might suggest that actually your fear of doing things that are wrong is actually a limiting belief.
For sure. You can't be right all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I've been through this before. Been through it again.
Yeah. So what's a
You can never be wrong if you don't do anything.
And there's a new
Sit down, don't do
empowering
anything,
belief
and you'll
just
never
like
be
that.
wrong. So just, I mean, it's really...
So word that. So you're afraid of doing something that could be wrong. That's a limiting belief. What is the new empowering belief? Tell me. That you can replace that one with.
If I don't do anything, I'm definitely wrong. Or by taking no action, I can only be wrong. I mean, that's... the other side might be wrong, I mean, but...
By not doing anything, you're definitely wrong.
Yeah.
It's true.
You got no shot at being right.
Yeah.
Or being helpful. It doesn't have to be right or wrong, but I mean, it's...
That's right. Yep. Another one that I actually really like was, well, not that I like this, but you actually pointed out for yourself. You get satisfied with what's adequate.
Be comfortable. It's... So coming from something that was really shitty, like everything gone,
Yep.
and seeing, I don't know, $12 an hour jobs and doing that stuff for a while. We go out and decide to change that and quadruple my income in 1 year. I mean, it's not that big a thing because my income was so shitty. But so you get to this point, you go, well, that's... Now you're satisfied at that point.
Right.
I don't know if that's something to be satisfied about. Enjoy it for a second and quadruple it again, or double it again, or keep moving it upwards.
Okay.
Instead of spending 2 years.
Are you going to continue jumping from job to job? Is that what you're suggesting?
No. I'm back doing what I do for a living.
Okay. So instead of actually living in what's satisfactory or living in adequacy, what can you actually do to replace that thought and that limiting belief with something that's empowering?
Enjoy the first step, but there's more. If you did this, look how much more you can do. Look what you're capable of.
Yep. There you go. That's great. Now here's one that was interesting. Do you think this is a strategy that you could actually overcome, or it would be something that would be a limiting belief? You avoid social situations at times.
Yeah, sometimes I just don't feel like being around people, or get in a lot of situations where it's people are trying to set you up, and sometimes like, I'm just to meet somebody on my own. And just and sometimes, like work-wise and things like that, where it would be good, it just it's not even uncomfortable. It just, I think it is limiting.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's a strategy just to get out of doing stuff, but it's well, it might be a blend, but it's
that's fine.
The way to look at it, say, okay, I'm in these. Again, you just start thinking in terms of possibilities. What are the possibilities if I participate?
If you participate. I love it. What are the possibilities if you participate in the social
social, work thing. There's just it's easy to slide
So
back.
before you actually decide, hey, I'm not going to do this, you actually will take a look at the possibilities. Hey, but what if I do?
Yeah, what possibilities are there for fun? What possibilities are there?
And
for
let that be a
forward?
gauge. Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent. How could your life be different if you started to do that?
I mean, you'd probably be a lot more engaging when you're at the function, or when you're with the person, or when you're with those people, or when you're in that situation.
Mm-hmm.
Again, you're not looking at your wristwatch, just waiting to leave. You're engaged. You're can I meet this? This is you're engaged. You're interested. There's possibilities of just something as simple as a conversation, an interesting conversation. Possibility of saying something nice. I mean, they're endless.
Excellent. Do you think
once you start to think in those terms?
Do you think that you could actually take that up in an example this week for yourself? Do you think there might be an opportunity for you to actually even take a look at that empowering belief this week?
Yeah.
If it comes up and somebody else asks you to be, involved in some sort of social circle, or it gives you an invitation of some kind, can I
even just
challenge
somebody
you with that?
Yeah, sure. Even somebody that's just outside your regular circles too.
So before you say no or you retreat, your challenge then is to actually take a look at the possibilities of what could actually be the outcome, and then go with that as your filter.
Yeah. Having that as your filter, as opposed to
I don't feel
what
like
am I going to miss?
Okay.
No, excellent.
So what are you going to miss was the limiting belief, and what are the possibilities is the empowering belief.
Yeah.
You get that?
Yeah. Again, a lot of it comes back to thinking of it in terms of possibilities.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's just sort of off and on, just over, mood swings, or just, certain points even in the last week. I mean, it took a while. I mean, there's 3 shitty days, but it really start thinking in terms of possibilities, and what you're doing is limiting those possibilities that brought it back to a better level.
Yeah.
I mean, because having a standard is one thing. So, you're not reaching your standard. That's not, a lot of times, that's not, really good carrot when things are blah.
Yeah, right.
Or when you're worn down, or when you're, whenever out of your, I guess when you're hearing the doubter voice over the visionary voice, it's
right. Yeah.
Standard doesn't mean a whole lot.
Right. No, I definitely hear you. I'm gonna bring your attention to one more here. Maybe you're afraid of competing. Limiting belief, or is there a strategy that you could actually take to actually get past that?
I mean, I think it is a limiting belief. I mean, what is the strategy, or what is the empowering belief? Well, again, to go back, we know what possibilities does competing bring.
You're getting the hang of this. The possibility word is coming up, isn't it?
And it's a very key word for me. I have to, I have to rely more on it, and I have to still buy into it more, and really have that being at the forefront. Again, the visionary voice thing, the possibilities that arise from, I mean, even just the littlest things. But
yep, that's excellent.
The voice has probably moved from the doubter voice to more the realist voice, but still, it's not at the visionary voice. It's not that, seeing opportunity around every corner.
It's excellent.
And it's easy, just news, past, all that sort of stuff to listen to it, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Not rely on it, but to have it stop you or have it make you hesitate.
Yep. There you go.
So.
Excellent. Very cool. Tell me in a snapshot what you're taking away from the limiting belief versus the empowering belief tool.
Might be two sides of the same coin.
Mm-hmm.
They both exist in your mind. They're both there.
Mm-hmm.
Choose the one that works best for you, and getting it to be a response and not something you got to stop and think about and repeat 5 times and then go do is, again, that's not, it's not building the foundation. That's not it's not the standard that I expect, coming out of this.
Mm-hmm.
So again, having it as your primary response, your first response.
Yeah.
Being your empowering belief. You can be aware of the limiting beliefs there. Mm-hmm. You remember a time when you used it and look how much further you're ahead for not. There is a benefit to it, but it's, but it has to become a belief. It can't become, a sticker on the fridge.
Mm-hmm.
Something you say 5 times before you drive to work, and a lot. It has to take hold.
Yep. Why aren't you getting the response that you want out of life?
Yeah.
Ask yourself those questions. Why aren't you getting the results that you want out of life?
Or better, what would I have to do to get the results? Ask good questions, you get better answers.
That's good.
Ask them why I'm not getting the results because of this, because of this, because of this, because of this, because of this. Next thing you know, you got all these reasons, and now you're right back to where you were. Your doubter voice has you.
Yep. Yep. How can you get the results that you want? That's more possibility thinking, isn't it now?
Yeah. Well, no, it is, and that's that was another very good thing that I got from Robbins. That's some of that stuff, very good. But whatever you ask yourself, your brain's going to find the answer to that.
Yeah.
How can I be so stupid to do that amount of drugs? Well, you get an answer for that.
Yeah.
We get a whole bunch of them. It was fun. It was this. It was that.
Yeah.
So we had, but that's It's still that takes you back, that direction. You have to set yourself up.
Yeah.
To see the possibilities.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, those questions. Those questions that will, again, open your mind to, again, seeing possibilities.
Excellent.
I thought you had a Red Lobster bracelet on. I was thinking, that's hardcore.
I guess. Red Letter Christians, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. You've got it. This is awesome. This is brilliant. So your challenge is to ask yourself the powerful questions that are going to actually empower you in your week. And ask yourself the possibility thinking questions. So you're going to do this assignment. You're going to take a look at what your limiting beliefs are. Take a look if it's a strategy or a limiting belief. And then write down what your empowering beliefs are beside it.
When you're saying strategies, it's something that I do just to cope or just to get out of the...
Sometimes, like I say, it's not... it's not actually a limiting belief. If you could take a little example. Here's an example. If you're intending to write an article about a certain topic, all right? But in order to actually figure this out, you're going to have to go to the library to actually find some research papers or find some research books to actually do that. And what's holding you back, you could say, is I don't have the research to be able to write this article. So the limiting belief that you might perceive would be, okay, well, this person is believing that he doesn't have the information necessary to write this article. But I would challenge that thought to say, no, actually, you could just take a strategy, go to the library, and that's really just an action step that you need to take in order to actually find the research. So what's holding you back from writing the article really is a strategy, which is going to the library, taking the time, and actually doing the research, and then coming back with that research and writing the article.
Okay.
So that's the difference. Okay. So, and a lot of times we get hung up and we give too much credit to limiting beliefs. We think things are limiting beliefs, and they actually are just, you could just do some action.
The strategy is something you actually just got past it. And
Yeah. Exactly. Very cool.
try to get past a whole bunch of that.
There you go. Brilliant. All right.
Yes,
Cool.
it is.
That's awesome. Sweet.